and thank you for joining me today on Loyal World Info. Another day of the global spinning, another day of global news to digest. I offer a sane, rational voice for an insane, rational time. I will be your host, but first, let me share a little bit about me. I look forward to waking up to the international news like a child opening a Christmas present. I never know how I will act or activities I will do until after I unwrap my present. In the news case, what will I learn? What will it cause me to think about? What will I reflect back on? And what will I share with others? Stay with me and let's open presents together. Now, let's get into today's topics. Hello, and for the topics of today, August 13th, 2020, coronavirus found on frozen seafood in China, patient 0 jailed 5 months and fined, and Putin is playing Russian roulette with the coronavirus vaccine. So stay with me and let's get into this. Okay. Our first story of the day, coronavirus found on frozen seafood in China. And this came from the Stars Times. So let's get into it and I'll give you my thoughts on this. The authorities in China have found coronavirus on the packagings of imported frozen seafood that arrived from northeastern port of Dalian, which recently battled a surge of cases, a local government said on Tuesday. The virus was found on the outer package of the frozen seafood brought by three companies in Yata, a port city of Shandong province. The Yatan city government said that in a statement that the seafood was from an imported shipment that landed in Dalian, but did not say where it had originated. Well, why are they hiding the facts? That's my first red flag. In July, customs officers in Dalian, a major port in Lamong province, found the coronavirus in the packaging of frozen shrimps imported from Ecuador, and China then suspended imports from the three Ecuadorian shrimp producers. The coronavirus is first detected in the market that sold seafood and wildlife in the central Chinese city of Wuhan late last year. So basically they go on and they say that they stopped selling it and all the back frozen seafood is in storage. So moving on, it goes, authorities have sealed off the goods and the city's government said. Everyone who handled the goods was under quarantine and has been tested negative for COVID-19. Again, really? Do we believe in China? The latest COVID-19 outbreak in Dalian City started in late July when the first case began, an employee working in seafood processing. Okay, so this brings up two facts. One, why are they hiding the fact where did this come from? They have records of it, but China's going to lie about whatever. Secondly, do you think they're going to let people know their real numbers? And I'm just going to give an example. Many Chinese were just deported from Vietnam for illegally coming in, and some of them had the virus. So do you not think that because these people up north that had it or potentially have it, then they came down to Vietnam to cause an outbreak? And it's not just Vietnam, but it's other countries, whether it come from Mexico is the third largest country, who says with the open borders or any person that illegally sneaks in, now they just spread it more. Last I recalled, Mexico had over 50,000 cases of convid. So that's a big issue for America. But more importantly, how are you going to trust any seafood you buy, you yourself? I mean, when you touch those boxes, usually I use my hands and I just rip them open. what, are you going to use gloves now? And then are you going to, like, I don't know, put everything in hot water to kill the virus? 40 Celsius, I think, is what they said kills the virus. So what do you think about that? Would this change the way that you perceive frozen foods? Just like instead of just buying the pizza, putting it in the oven, putting it in the microwave, will it change the way you handle frozen packages? I really would like to know. Please like, comment, subscribe. Okay. Our second article comes from Malaysia today, and this is very disturbing. Ismar Sabata subject cluster patient 0 jailed 5 months and fined. Okay, so let's read this briefly. On August 13th, the person responsible for Sabata's COVID-19 cluster in Kenda was sentenced to 5 months jail and fined 12 million rupees. That's like about $4,000. Senior Minister Dot Center said. The defense minister said the authorities viewed the transgression seriously in a stern warning to the public amid the growing concern over the emergence of new clusters and the government has been easing restrictions. PDRM has taken actions against an individual in the Shanghai cluster for failure to remain under home quarantine. The defense minister said during the press conference held in the Parliament building here. As we all know, this individual was supposed to be under home quarantine, but instead went out to the open, his restaurant. And as a result, a few villages and pearls had to be locked down because this individual failed to observe the regulation for operating purposes. Okay, so this brings up a few issues. One, you know what? Countries like this, first off, do not have social welfare like America, where they're getting unemployment or $1,200 checks. What if people have their businesses and they need to generate money to feed their families? That's one. Okay, let's just toss that aside for a minute. Secondly, if you're going to throw people in jail, fine, you can say this is Malaysia, but Singapore, New Zealand, other people were coming close to doing this for countries, and in America they were ticketing people between $100 and $500 when they were doing their social distancing, not the rioters, but the local people. And furthermore, okay, if you're going to jail people, one, isn't that why they release people from jail to prevent convid? Secondly, is this going to now go mainstream? Are other countries going to try to do this? And how that will really put neighbor against neighbor, company against employee, and so on, put pointing game. And lastly, I've noticed this because in Vietnam, when say there's a patient 0 or whoever's sick and they do quarantine, the medical people come out and they spray everything down. Let's just take a small example like of a stadium, okay? So they go to a stadium, I don't know, LA Lakers, and then they sanitize the whole thing. So, okay, that one stadium costs, say, $1,000 to clean. Now imagine when it's a city or a block or a whole business building. Who is going to pay that tab? In this case, they want this person to pay the tab. So what do you do when it's one business, a city, or bigger area? Are you going to really fine these people? And even if you do fine or don't fine the people, you as a taxpayer are still paying for this, and some corporations are getting really rich off of this. So what do you think? How should we go about cleaning up, desanitizing, and how should we keep track of who's profiting off of all this cleaning up? So please like, comment, subscribe. I really want to know about the cleaning up and how we should deal with these patients, whether the local laws and the citizens themselves. Okay, let's move on to our last article today. Putin is playing Russian roulette with the coronavirus vaccine. Bad science and politicians looking for easy answers that can lead to trouble. So for those that do not know, a day or two ago, Russia announced it had a vaccine to deal with the coronavirus. So now this is a follow-up to that. So I'm going to get into this first, and then I'll give you my questions of thoughts. This isn't Russia's new Sputnik moment. The approval of a supposed vaccine for the coronavirus by Russia harkens back to something less savory in the country's history when research was subservient to politics and strongmen got the science they wanted to hear, no matter the cost, to the Russian people. Putin's announcement of a successful vaccine against the virus has been met with universal diversion by the scientific community around the world. Why? Not because of the jealousy or any anti-Russia sentiment. The new candidate vaccine was simply not tested properly. Most vaccines and new drugs fail in clinical trials, and we do these studies to test our assumptions, keep from fooling ourselves, from hurting those who will take these products. The basic pathway of vaccine and drug approval worldwide is based on 3 phases of study. In phase 1, with a small number of people, researchers test patients for serious and common side effects. In phase 2, scientists are looking for actively for the vaccine. If it elicits the immune response, which doesn't mean the vaccine is protective, it just gets the immune system's attention for the drug. If it is able to kill the pathogen against which the drug is targeted. But phase 3 is the pinnacle of biomedical research. Here we see if the drug is safe in large numbers of people, where important but less common side effects will appear by virtue of the fact that we are testing a much larger group than phase 1. So yeah, those are the 3 phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. And people will all say Bill Gates kind of did this kind of stuff to many countries and got many people sick. So if a side effect shows up in 1 to 250 people, we will unlikely see it in a 20-person phase 1 study. But we will surely see it in a group of 10,000 people given the product. But phase 3 is where we also see if a product truly works. In phase 3, we will get half the people of the agent and half the people a placebo. A placebo is a fake drug. The idea is that if the vaccine works, you should see far greater numbers of infection in the placebo group than the one giving the vaccine. So yeah, and it goes on, and it basically says for phase 3, you usually do it for a year to gather the research and results. Now, I want to bring this up because when Russia announced this, they also announced many countries are buying the vaccine from them. They already have millions upon millions of orders from different countries around the world. So in a way, this is a massive cash grab for Russia. And the reason beyond Russia getting the vaccine, whether it works or not, are people just throwing themselves all they have to Russia just for the hope to be safe, the hope to be immune to the virus? Many con artists, our politicians, will play on your fears to get what they want out of you. So that's why I thought this was interesting but again, governments, countries, and people are just throwing all this money for a potential placebo, just in hope. So what do you do? Do you believe in this? And have you ever fallen for a government or politician's lies? And what was the aftermath? And would you feel comfortable taking a vaccine that's so new to the market, despite where it came from? Please like, comment, subscribe. I want to know what you think about this. And have you ever been part of a medical study, phase 1, 2, 3, and how did it go? And were you compensated? Well, that will conclude Loyal World News. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Feel free to like, subscribe, or drop a comment below. If you're on the go, listen to my podcast with the link provided in the description. I will see you tomorrow to share more world news.